It looks like we are live. Looks like we are a couple seconds behind what I was actually doing there. I never know, does it start as soon as I click live, or is it still got a delay? I don't know, but you guys don't care about that. Anyways, welcome to Underground Crypto Deep Dive Research Show. Today we're talking about ArtFi. I think it's a cool narrative. Now, why are we talking about it? Well, according to some sources, it's LiveArt is a project within the ArtFi niche, is one of the most searched things on Google. So with that being said, you know, we had to do something about it. Also, I don't actually wear glasses. These are the Meta glasses. And I'm just using those to do my mic check here. I don't know if I'll be able to wear them the entire stream. Shout out to all my people who love deep diving and researching crypto. Let's go ahead and pull the bubble map up and check out what we got going on. So MYX, of course, one of the biggest bubbles continuously. Usually it's been pretty green. Today is the biggest red bubble. Form was red yesterday. Wild had a bunch of pumping going on the last day or two, so it's pulling back as well. But you see Pendle's up, Arrow's up, MNT is up, Mantle. I do love that you can actually click on any of these if you're like not 100% sure what they are. With these glasses on, these glasses have a speaker in them, so I can actually tell how far behind the stream is. It's kind of cool. Sounds great. Hey, thank you, Sourced and Sold. Yesterday was such a great live stream. It really was. So many people came through and chatted. That was awesome. I really appreciate everybody who came through yesterday. We're going to start our stream off as normal. We've moved it up to 8 o'clock. Hopefully that doesn't throw anybody off. I just feel like towards the end of the stream we start falling off with viewership, so maybe I need to start a little bit earlier. I don't think I'll be starting it any earlier than, say, 8 o'clock. Alright, so let me get to the internet. I'm just on OBS here. Let's look at the hour on the crypto bubble, see what's going on. So MYX, although it was down on the hour, it looks like it's starting to pick back up. You have SPX. I saw that they got listed on Coinbase today. This is SPX 900. Yep. They got listed on Coinbase today. That's definitely going to give you some pump. There were quite a few coins that got listed on Coinbase today. As Coinbase looks like it's rolling out. If you're familiar with Coinbase, you know that they used to have a separate app called Coinbase Wallet where it was very Web3, very DeFi. And now they think that, well, they definitely got rid of that, right? But I think they're going to integrate all of that into their main app. No idea why they didn't just do that the first time around. They caused a bunch of confusion for people because then they wanted you to get everything off of that other app before they basically close your account after a certain amount of time. And I just think that builds a ton of confusion and makes a bunch of angry customers over time. But hey, that's their business, not mine. It was annoying for me, but I had like 2 coins in their wallet, so it wasn't a big deal. I just moved them somewhere else. And on the weekly on the crypto bubbles is always really interesting. So MYX, of course, 1000% on the week for MYX. Now let's hop over and look at our fear and greed index where we normally look at it, and it's 54%, still in that neutral zone. It was nice to get a pullback and not go into the greed area, or I'm sorry, the fear area is the red, greed is the green. Greed is when you're getting too hot, fear is when you're kind of, you know, getting too low, getting too oversold. So Sourced and Sold said what, or should do poll on what time works best for live streams. Yeah, I could do that. I feel like it would vary greatly though. It'd need like a custom section where you could write in whatever you wanted to write. So we're going to start over here at Crypto Rank. We normally start at CoinGecko and the what is trending. I'll go ahead and read this off. We just look at what the prices are real quick. 115,000 for Bitcoin right now, which is nice. I'm pretty sure it was what, 113,000 yesterday when we looked at it. Been doing some trading, been doing pretty well. Ethereum 4,458. I love it above that $4,000 mark. XRP, if you've been watching, has been just hanging out under $3. Glad to see it crack that psychological number of $3 and hang out above it. It's XRP's up 7.4% in the last 7 days. BNB $902. It's up there. That might even be close to its all-time high there. Solana $228. Dogecoin sitting at 25.5 cents. It's moving. I think in the last little rally we had, I don't know, 6-7 months ago, it got up to like 48 cents. So it's almost halfway back to that. We have Cardano at 89 cents, Chainlink at $24.39, Hyperliquid at $56.57, and that's usually where we kind of end that. And then we go to our what's trending. We have to keep a pulse on the market. And then I wanted to kind of check in with this fear and greed index on cryptorank.com, or .io, I should say, and see if it lines up with the normal fear and greed that we use. And so far, the last 2 days that I've done it, it has lined up. So if it always lines up, we may just use this fear greed index if it's the same thing, right? So let's go to coins. Let's go to trending cryptos. Go ahead, close a tab here. Help with our bandwidth. So looks a lot like yesterday, to be honest with you. You got Lena, Avantis, Pump.Fun, World Liberty, OpenVPP, Hyperliquid, Solana, this Camino, which I'm not familiar with. We will be checking that out in just a minute. Ondo, WorldCoin had some news, and that's why it had been pumping the last couple of days. Chainlink, Saros, one that I believe we looked at yesterday. MYX Finance, you can't miss that one. Sai, or Say, most people I think are calling it Sai, and Hollow World. Now, Hollow World has not been out. We'll kind of do it from the bottom up, right? Hollow World has not been out very long. And it is our AI, infrastructure, and an AI agent launch pad is what Hollow is. It's on the Binance Smart Chain and Solana. 2 contracts there. $162.4 million in its market cap. And if you go to the max chart, it's only been around since September 11th, 2025. Now let's come over to CryptoRank and see if Hollow shows up on the trending. I feel like they show you more coins. Well, they definitely do, because they have 2 lists running. So the first list is top 20 searches in the last 7 days, and the other one is the top 20 most visited coins in the last 7 days. And you'll see they match up a little bit, but they're not exactly the same. Shout out to anybody who's in here. We just went live a few minutes ago. Hit that like, share, subscribe button. Today we were talking about ArtFi. We're doing our little warm up and what we go over, what's trending, top gainers, top losers, while we let people trickle in. But we will be going over that stuff today. Do you know what ArtFi is? LiveArt is really the project that came across my radar that kind of sparked the whole thing. And then when I seen in the Google search that it's one of the most Googled topics in crypto right now, had to do a stream about it, because we are raising our crypto IQs here on this channel. That is the mission. And so if there's a new, narrative coming out, a new category, we got to know about it. Also, I'm done with these glasses. I don't think I can take doing these glasses anymore. Give me 1 second. Let me put them away. So much better without that echo, right? All right. Anyways, let's see if we were looking for Hollow World. Is it on here? I wanted to see, because we usually use CoinGecko and what's trending, but I forgot about CryptoRank, and I used to use it all the time. Oh, look at that. LiveArt is actually on its trending, and it wasn't on CoinGecko. But I don't see the Hollow World on there. And Hollow World is about AI agents, AI agent launchpad. So all great narratives to know. Maybe we never did go to their website. Their website looks really cool. Is this one of their AI agents? So where creativity meets intelligence, Hollow World is the agentic app store. Create, play, and fundraise your agentic apps and IP today. So this term agentic I see being used constantly across different AI, crypto websites and stuff. It basically just refers to AI. So if you have an AI app, it might even refer to even more like AI agents, right? And this looks like they have an AI agent there they created. I don't want to spend a crazy amount of time on it. Ava Studios, the AI native creative studio. So is it like the Apple Play Store for AI agent type apps. You know, different AI agents do different things. Says powering a new generation of AI native creators. So they're going to be AI creators. You know, that seems to be the next step in AI agents here, is ones that can just get to work all by themselves and make apps, move money, take transactions, write up contracts between other AI agents, and just make you money. It's going to be a very interesting thing, and who's going to come out on top of that is going to be very interesting as well. So look at Soros. And Soros got its categories: decentralized exchange, right? And it doesn't really have any other really good categories on here other than decentralized exchange. It's on Solana. It's also on this Victitian, which I'm not familiar with, and I need to look into what that is, but I don't want to get too sidetracked here. Also, Maxlog says that it's been around since January 18th, 2024, sitting at about 35 cents, up a whopping 1,800% since it came out. That's pretty cool. Why is it pumping right now? I'm not 100% sure. Then let's look at this coin, because I did not know what it was. This is Camino. At 7 cents, Max Chart says that it's up 72%. Had a nice pump here right in the middle of its chart. And it says April 29, 2024. December 14, 2024, it pumped to 23 cents and then has retraced from then. $195.3 million in its market cap. Has a Solana contract address. Let's go to their website. First, let's go to the categories. So it says DeFi, decentralized finance, a lending borrowing protocol. Okay. On Solana. And that's your financial category, your financial niche, you know. Not the most glamorizing thing to everyday retail, but to the institutions and people with a lot of money, it certainly is. There are so many of them, though. How would you know which one to use and which one not to use? That's exactly where AI agents come into this whole thing. And some of them will be able to manage the fluctuations between like APY, you know, between all of the different things, and know where to pull your money out of, where to put it, and then we'll keep up with it on a daily basis. Something that would be very taxing and tiring for you to do by yourself, and you'd most likely mess it up. And it looks like most lending staking protocol, we're not going to spend a ton of time on that. It looked pretty detailed there. And what else do we have here? Avantis. Do you know what Avantis is? I feel like a lot of people probably don't know what Avantis is. Let's see how long this project's been around. Yes, we will be talking about ArtFi. Don't run off too quickly here. This is how we warm up on the stream all the time, every day. September 9, 2025. This thing has not been out very long. It has $64.8 million in its market cap. When we go over the what's trending, a lot of times is where we're going to find things that are starting to move that maybe not everybody knows about. And a good metric is to come all the way to the bottom and look at how many exchanges it's on. If you find a coin and you really like it and it's only on maybe 1-2 small exchanges, good chance that you're in it before everybody else. If you go down and it's on Coinbase, most people probably know about it. Where did that just take me? Okay. I got one of those fancy mouses with like 30 buttons on it. So if you click the wrong one, who knows what it's going to do. Coinbase doesn't look like they have a website. And then it says you should. Okay. All right. Well, moving on. Let's go back over to CryptoRank. I really like how CryptoRank gives you two different categories, gives you a lot more information or a lot more projects to look at. Starknet is one of them. That was not on CoinGecko. I think we're probably going to start using CryptoRank trending instead of the CoinGecko trending for sure. So they even give you a chart. I'm not as familiar with the setup over here on CryptoRank though, so that might be a little bit annoying as we move forward. When I actually want to click on it and see what it is, we might just have to go to CoinGecko where I know how to use it, because I do not want to waste your guys' time. So we'll just pull up Starknet over here. And how's the music, everybody? Is the music a good volume? Should I turn it up? Should I turn it down? Wow, this darknet is down 93%. February 19th, 2024. Doesn't look like it's off to a great start. Who knows how many VCs they gave. But it does have $551.3 million in its market cap, so there is a lot of money there. It's not a small coin. So StarkNet looks like it is its own layer 1. It says infrastructure. Oh, it's a layer 2. ZK knowledge, roll-ups, bunch of portfolios that it's in. Seems like it's very tied in. There's Sequoia. Very tied into maybe your hedge funds. It's a smart contract platform, layer 2 on Ethereum. Okay, that's very interesting. I have no idea what it does. You know, what is its niche? What is its category? So Bitcoin X Ethereum, supercharged by zero knowledge tech. StarkNet fuses Bitcoin integrity and Ethereum utility to unleash a whole new DeFi experience. Unlimited scale. StarkNet utilizes the power of Stark technology to ensure computational integrity by validating off-chain transactions with advanced math and cryptography. StarkNet overcomes Ethereum's scalability limitations. StarkNet is a validity rollup that provides unlimited scale while retaining Ethereum security and decentralization. So they're coming into Ethereum. They're a layer 2 like Polygon, but they have a different kind of thing going on. Polygon, I think, really is focused on the transaction fees, among other things, where StarkNet is really concerned with making Ethereum better all the way around, but still staying on Ethereum and not making necessarily a whole new layer 1, which could be a good move in the long run. And they have a lot of techie stuff going on with their zero knowledge rollups and stuff like that. Very interesting. And I'll get a little bit better at this crypto rank website, so I don't always have to go to CoinGecko. So let's see if there's anything else interesting here before we move on. A lot of these to me, because we do this Monday through Friday, these are all projects we went over. I mean, we went over layer 0 yesterday in our live stream, all about what is layer 0. What does that mean? You know what an L1 is, a layer 1, Bitcoin, Ethereum. What's a layer 2? What's a layer 3? But also, what is a layer 0? So if you don't know what a layer 0 is, I highly encourage you to go watch the live stream from yesterday. Even though it's not live when you're watching it, I promise the information will be just as good and relevant. So when we go to the most 20 visited in the last 7 days, I'm glad to see the topic LiveArt here actually on that list. Bio protocol is another one we went over right before it really started taking off. We did kind of catch that one, although personally I didn't buy any. All right, so before we get into LiveArt as a niche and a narrative, let's talk about it. So ArtFi, which is kind of like, you know, DeFi, you have GameFi, you have, you know, FI put on the end of many different categories. ArtFi is kind of the same thing. As you can imagine, it has to do with art, but it really has to do with real world assets, something most people would be a little more familiar with. ArtFi is the fusion of art and finance on the blockchain. The goal is to take high value cultural assets like fine art and collectibles and make them accessible to a wider audience. This is done by tokenizing and fractionalizing ownership, turning exclusive and illiquid assets into tradable on-chain investments. ArtFi emphasizes transparent, immutable provenance and introduction to finance features such as liquidity, lending, and yield opportunities. So many words that look exactly like other words, and you just want to say what you want to say. Why do I gotta read it? No, I'm just playing around. So basically the takeaway from this is a lot of times when we talk about real world assets, we talk about cars and houses, right? Well, cars and houses are very big assets. What about all the smaller assets? What about that, you know, $2 million piece of fine art you have in your mansion? Assuming you have a mansion and fine art. But how do you make that on a real world asset tradable? People can invest in it. And then the fractionalizing, just like thinking too many thoughts at one time here. So like a lot of times a narrative that most people give for real world assets like real estate is that a house could be bought with a company that does this kind of real world asset thing. They already exist. There's already a couple of them. I don't know how well they operate. And you could buy into some real estate and start making money off of real estate like you owned it at a much smaller amount of money, you know, entry barrier to entry is what you would normally call that. So like say I only had $5,000. Well, I don't have enough to put any money down on a house, and I don't have any money to necessarily pay for that house every month, right? But if somebody already owned the house and they were going to fractionalize it, cut it up into fractions, that's what that means, then maybe I could buy $5,000 of it. And if that thing turns $2,500 of rent every month, that could be dished out based off of how much. So maybe for my $5,000, I get, you know, $30 a month. It's a long time to ROI, but anything in real estate really is a long time to ROI. So that's just one application. You could do the same thing instead of a, you know, $500,000 or $1 million house that I'm buying into. What if it's a $2 million piece of art? What if it's a $500,000 piece of art? Now, I don't know how they're going to make money off of that because it doesn't collect rent, right? But maybe it's in a museum and they get a portion for it being there. There's so many different avenues and things that we could talk about when it comes to that. So maybe you could buy into those things. And that's a whole thing that we're going to be kind of going into right here. So what is LiveArt? LiveArt is an AI-powered protocol positioned within the ArtFi sector. Its mission is to democratize access to art and cultural assets by tokenizing them, fractionalizing ownership, and creating liquidity through blockchain markets. Unlike traditional NFT platforms, LiveArt adds advanced tools such as AI-driven markets, analytics, predictive price models, and DeFi-inspired trading layers. So it is a very, I guess you could say, new concept, right? It definitely is not something that's prevalent. It's definitely not something that somebody has done really well already. There are pros and cons to this. In my opinion, nothing I say is financial advice, but in my opinion, there's not many competitors. So they have that first mover advantage. You've seen that in many industries with many big companies. They just had the first mover advantage. Look at Tesla, you know, or Amazon. They did well because they didn't have a lot of competition to compete with. Could LiveArt be a very similar narrative? Now, it is very new of a project. September 9th, 2025 is when CoinGecko started tracking it. I'm not sure exactly how long the project's been out, but usually they're pretty close on CoinGecko chart. And as you can see, it's only sitting around 2 cents right now. We don't know the market cap. That was one thing in my research. Nobody really knows the market cap yet. I don't know if that's because it's so new. I'm not quite sure what that's about. Could be a bit of a red flag, right? So their website is here. We'll open that up and take a look at it. I did make a reel about it today if anybody saw that. And we want to go down to categories, NFTs. So real world asset and NFT are the categories they give it. I'm sure that all of the art pieces, watches, whatever it is that they're tokenizing will probably be represented as an NFT. So here we are on their website, and it says iconic RWAs, full crypto utility, $10 trillion market, I assume is what they're trying to say. I don't know where they're getting that information. I think what they're kind of trying to say is there's so much value in art and watches and all kinds of collectibles and stuff that if you added it all up, it'd be about $10 trillion. I don't know if that's in the world. I don't know how they're coming up with that number, but there definitely is a lot of money there. Buy, trade, borrow, and swap fractions as fractions of Picasso, Rolex, and other investment-grade assets. So art unlocks 10 trillion RWA market. From Picasso to Rolex, art transforms iconic real-world assets into institutional-grade RWAs. You can trade, borrow, and swap across DeFi. There are a lot of questions when it comes to this, you know. They're going to need to verify that they have contracts and permission with the people who actually own these assets. Because if you're going to tell me that I own, 1/4 of the value of something, How do I back that up legally? I'm going to need contracts. I'm going to need something that says that I have it. And then if you were to sell it and not tell anybody, how's that money, who's going to force you to cough up that money and distribute it between the people? It's almost like there'd have to be a warehouse somewhere holding all of the actual items that they're tokenizing so that they had some control over the actual items, right? So that's very interesting, and that brings a whole other issue, because what happens if that warehouse burns down? Are they insured? Are they going to pay out everybody who owns it? It gets very complicated from there, in my opinion. Latest from the blog. So Art is bringing, they keep touting this $10 trillion market, number. I don't know how you come up with that evaluation. Prove or disprove that. So LiveArt airdrop checker is live. So I'm not sure what you would have to interact with. The wait is over. You can now check your art airdrop allocation. The LiveArt airdrop distributed to early community members. So if you weren't an early community member, you probably aren't getting any airdrops, right? So, and ecosystem participants who show genuine engagement with the protocol. This drop is our way of rewarding the people who have been part of building LiveArt from day one. Please note that art earned as part of Fractional digital art purchases or acquired via Launchpad sales will not be visible on the checker, but allocated at TGE. And then how to check, I believe, is what it continues to say. And just like CoinGecko kind of lines up with, it says art token launched September 9th. So art arrives. Art is the utility token powering the LiveArt protocol, the first RWAs infrastructure transforming iconic art and luxury assets into tradable on-chain RWAs with full DeFi utility. This launch represents more than a token entering the market. It's a gateway to a 10 trillion global market to finally move on-chain, unlocking access to assets and to have historically have been reserved for the wealthiest collectors, right? They're kind of saying the common man is going to be able to get some of this wealth somehow, I think is what the narrative they're trying to sell you there. And if they're right, I mean, look at the overall of crypto. We could do that real fast here. Do they tell us on... Yeah, they do. So right now, the total market cap of all cryptos that's being tracked here, which is most of them, is 4.2 trillion. I'm glad to see that we're above that trillion, $4 trillion market cap for all of cryptos. That's kind of a metric that I'm always looking at. But 10 trillion is, more than double. Now, how quick that $10 trillion would come online. I mean, think about private collectors who are older. They're not into crypto. They're not tech savvy. They got $100 million worth of precious art and collectibles. Why would they go put it on chain? Why would they split any of it unless they were going to make more money? Now, if they could take $100 million worth of assets, make $150 million off of it by divvying it up and making more money than it's really worth, then maybe they would do it. I have no idea how they're going to get into their, inner circles and get them to do that. So they also have narrative of AI agent. So not just LiveArt, but also LiveArt AI agent. The #1 AI model in the art market is here and it's free. Again, they don't have many competitors. So for them to say the #1 AI model in the art market, how many other AI models are there in the art market? Probably not very many. And there is another project that is a competitor who I believe has been around much longer. I will show it for half a second here. We'll come back to it. It's called ArtFi, right? Which is kind of the whole name of the whole category. I didn't look to see how long it had been around though. So since June 16th, 2024. So it seems like LiveArt has come in and I guess tried to do this better. This ArtFi is down 84%. Oh, wow. Look at the market cap. Okay. Well, I guess there's not a lot of comparing when we look at this market cap. I didn't realize this market cap was so small in my research. It just said this was one of its competitors. Doesn't look like there's much competition, because what is the market cap here? 23 point. Oh, that's right. We don't even know the market cap. All right, so maybe they are competitors. Maybe there's, they're touting this $10 trillion number, and then it almost looks like there's not a lot of money here. Very weird. And why are we talking about this if it has such a small or unknown market cap? Because this is a niche, this is like decentralized science is a niche. Do you know what that is? We're all about the crypto IQ. So we need to know what things are, because other players could come into this space and it could run really fast. And if you didn't already know what it was about, you might not be paying attention. If tomorrow Coinbase says, hey, we're going to open up our own little sector of our company and we're going to do ArtFi as well, you might not pay any attention to it because you might not know what that means. But if you understand there's trillions of dollars worth of things to be tokenized, maybe you'll pay a little bit more attention. A $2 trillion asset class now accessible to everyone for free. Okay, now we're a $2 trillion asset class. I thought it was 10 trillion. Really would like to know where they got their numbers from. The art market is a 2 trillion global, globally, per year. I think they're saying 2 trillion global asset class that has been opaque and difficult to navigate without specialized knowledge. Nobody wants to pay a certain amount of money for artwork or something created. Could be a sculpture. I guess that's still artwork. I'm thinking of paintings. Unless they can verify that it's actually worth that amount of money. That's a rich man's game. To acquire some artwork, get it evaluated more than you paid for it, donate it to a charity, write it off. I mean, it's a rich man's game. Artwork always has been. The LiveArt AI agent removes these barriers and makes art market insight accessible to all. So I could see a use case for that. I mean, if you could collectively have people in the art world, $2 trillion market, agree that the evaluation and information given by this AI agent was going to be the standard for pricing things, then maybe it could be center stage to the evaluation of assets, and then it would bring them on tokenization and stuff as well, which helps with marketing. If you have a piece of art and you live in Italy in a small town, this might be able to make it so everybody in the world could see the art that you have, and you could sell it even if you break it up and sell it that way. Gotta hit this water. Man, slow night tonight. Is YouTube just not showing my channel to anybody? We had so many people yesterday. It's a shame. All right, unlock the $2 trillion art market. Maybe this topic is not as searched as they say that it is. It's kind of almost what it feels like. So let's hop back over to where we were doing our research here. It says key features and value propositions. So accessibility, exposure to blue chip art without multi-million-dollar entry barriers, right? Barriers to entry. Liquidity, tradable fractions, bypassing slow and exclusive auction system. Most artwork is behind an auction system, and you don't have the opportunity usually to own, fractions of it. Like if you're bidding on something in a auction, you don't usually get the option to buy 50% of it and then the other person buy the other 50%. So that is definitely part of it as well. AI integration, real-time data, pricing insight, and predictive analytics. Community engagement, point program, airdrops, and gamified collecting definitely can make, the world of artwork and collecting and stuff a little bit more fun by gamifying it. I think that's a good idea because I'm all about GameFi. Strong backing, supported by Binance Labs, Animico Brands, and Hashkey Capital. Those are some strong players. I didn't realize that they were backed by those three people. That's definitely good. Maybe they'll kind of hold them afloat. Tokenomics and market status. The project's token is ART, A-R-T, makes sense, with maximum supply of 1 billion tokens. LiveArt raised $4.5 million in a seed round and has recently been listed on KuCoin as of September 9, 2025. Everywhere we go, that seems to be the date. The platform runs an ongoing points program that feeds into the art token airdrop, rewarding early community members with allocations. I'm assuming these are people who are tokenizing artwork or taking something and tokenizing it into their system, and then maybe they're giving them some kind of reward, or maybe they're buying stuff on there as well. So the roadmap and products, LiveArt is building out several core offerings: tokenization and fractionalization of real-world art and culture assets. The LiveArt AI agent providing predictive analytics and data dashboard, primary asset offering, an IAO, similar to an ICO, but tied to initial sales of tokenized artwork, a DeFi style layer for yield opportunities, trading, and potential derivatives. So, narrative and marketing potential. The central narrative is unlocking dead capital. This part is really interesting and something you probably want to pay attention to. From the art world, and I've already kind of said it, but this is going to reiterate it probably better. Trillions of dollars in fine art sits locked in vaults or private collections, and LiveArt positions itself as a bridge to bring the value on chain. The project LiveArt, that is, by creating fractionalized access and adding liquidity to claims to democratize a historically exclusive market. So very interesting if you really understood what that was trying to say there. Risks and challenges. So this is where we get into, I think, some of the more saucier stuff, right? So regulation unclear, framework around fractional ownership and security laws. Right there, that's something you really hope the project has figured out before they went and launched it. Valuation. Art markets are subject, opaque, and difficult to model. They really are kind of biting off a big bite here to chew, because art is very subjective. Even pricing is very subjective. So that'll be very interesting. Liquidity. Secondary markets may not reach the volume needed for sustainability. Definitely something to think about there. Custody and authenticity. Issues of storage, right? Insurance and proof of authenticity remains hurdles. So yeah, I mean, I touched on that already a little bit. They went even further for insurance, and then you got to prove the piece of art you have is real. So execute risk. Competing ArtFi projects exist, and bridging traditional art institutions with Web3 will be difficult. So the one thing I wanted to say there is, yeah, this ArtFi does exist, but we don't really know anything about it. It is still pretty new as well, and it has like a $400,000 market cap, which is tiny. They've already told us that they raised $4.5 million. I think that kind of puts LiveArt in the lead there. Also, the other one's been around a lot longer, and I don't hear a lot of people talking about it. So now they're going to compare it to ArtFi, the other project that we were just talking about. It's right here. So LiveArt stands alongside projects like ArtFi, which also focuses on fractionalized ownership of fine art, where LiveArt differentiates itself through its emphasis on AI analytics. I feel like that was written weird. Broader cultural assets beyond fine art and community-driven gamification elements. Okay, so ArtFi is also going to kind of gamify, the elements around its, ArtFi. Very interesting. So we will hop back over to this maybe in a moment. But let's look at what else on this ArtFi app we can look at, because I had pulled up some tabs earlier and there were some pretty interesting things here. Of course, you can stake, ambassador. Do they actually have an app I can launch though? That would be cool. So built on the most powerful art market database in the world, LiveArt AI agent is the only free market strategist for art, luxury, and crypto, delivering real-time AI-powered insight on 345,000 plus artists, millions of artwork, and on-chain assets. I think it would take a while to build this out to be what they want it to be, but once it is, it'll be, it'll probably be the standard for pricing artwork and stuff. It could get really big. So let's take a look at some other things here. We talked about the airdrop. Let's see about its ecosystem. So LiveArt ambassadors, active asset offering. I really kind of want to launch an app and actually look at what they have. What do they actually have tokenized already? Do they have that? All right, taking us somewhere else. They got to verify that we are not a bot or an AI agent, right? For some reason, this always takes forever. I do apologize. So uncover art market with data. Again, I really just want to find the actual artwork, right? So here's different artists. Pablo Picasso. His momentum is down 6.8%, whatever that means. Lots sold 1.4 thousand. So he's kind of looks like he's on top. Can we toggle that metric there? This is very interesting. And then also we can go to all styles. Oh, right. So you have all kinds of different types of artwork. Let's go to American modernism. Country of origin. Let's do all countries. So we have Georgia O'Keeffe. Let's click on that and see, can we actually look at some real artwork? Because that's kind of where I want to go with this at this point. And then I want to see what they're charging. I want to see what the process is to buy a piece of artwork. What am I actually buying? So Georgia O'Keeffe from 1887 to 1986. So obviously this is an artist that is no longer with us. You really have to log in, I guess. Here's some different things. And I guess if you're not logged in, they're not going to show you the price either. That's very interesting. And these look like different artwork. How do I know, they were talking about authenticity. How do I know that these are not just pictures they pulled off the internet? How would they make sure I didn't just pull pictures off the internet and say that I had things that I don't have and then sell them and collect and then, sell off before anybody really understands that I never really had the actual artwork? Let's go check out their Twitter. So ArtFi is going to be a narrative. I think it's going to be hard for people to navigate. We'll go ahead and give them a follow. Please follow me, Crypto Ron, blue check mark, at _ground crypto, because of course underground crypto was taken. Buy, trade, borrow, swap, fractions, Picasso, Rolex. They just say that everywhere, I guess. I do like that they have these people as backers, but I don't know. Just seems like it's going to be hard to get people excited about this project. It is good that we have a good crypto IQ, that we know what this project is, even if it's not the most exciting thing in the world. And more importantly, the category, right? The niche. We need to know what that is. If another big player comes in, or if people just start buying into it for some reason. So another milestone for culture on chain. Art is now trading live on Kraken. And of course, they love to post when they get on different exchanges. Art revolutionizes the RWA markets. I think if we didn't already have a very strong narrative of RWAs, this would be even harder to market, right? I think that their big takeaway here is RWA. And without that narrative, it's really hard to sail, this ship. It's almost like ArtFi is the ship sailing down the river of RWA narrative that already exists. Things like Ondo, right? So art is now live on Bank Exchange. I mean, they're getting on different exchanges. They were on our, top 20 most visited crypto coins in the last 7 days. So there's a tension around this. Why and how, I don't exactly know. I mean, art's not necessarily my cup of tea, to be 100% transparent. I don't sit around looking at old artwork or artists or anything like that. But I do understand that there's a lot of money behind art. So, and that was just one thing. Obviously, they won't let us see any prices. I don't want to waste anybody's time to go actually sign up and log in. I didn't realize that was going to be required here. And let's go back to the website just real quick, make sure we didn't miss anything. Asset offerings. They have a white paper. If anybody wants to check that out, I don't think you want me to read the white paper to you. You guys all might fall asleep. So let's finish our research here just a little bit. So recent developments, art token listed on KuCoin, launch of the LiveArt AI agent designed to provide predictive market intelligence, ongoing points and airdrop program. I think that's probably what's going to bring most people into it. Incentivizing early adoption. Backed by notable venture players with $4.5 million raised in seed funds. I mean, that's good, but it's not that much money, honestly. $4.5 million is not that much money. So what's the takeaway from all of this? LiveArt represents a bold step in the AI and the ArtFi movement, combining tokenization, AI, and DeFi to unlock access to an asset class worth trillions. The potential is enormous if execution matches ambition. That's really the sentence right there that you should really focus on and keep in the back of your mind, is that the execution of this has to match this monumental ambition that they're giving us on their website, you know, as a statement. At the same time, regulatory uncertainty, valuation subjectivity, and market adoption will determine whether LiveArt becomes a leader in ArtFi or struggles against the challenges of merging physical art with blockchain finance. There you go. And that is the gist of most of our research there. And I think we've covered LiveArt well and ArtFi well, explained what it is, you know, what the point of it is, what this project is actually trying to do. And from here, we're just going to have to see what this project does. We're deep diving researching at least Monday through Friday every day. So we will keep an eye out for this project. Hopefully they give us a market cap at some point. I don't really understand how you can tell us what the price of something is without the market cap. This kind of goes against the fundamental, you know, crypto laws of tokenomics, right? Because the market cap and the circulating supply are the two things that we really need to come up with this price per unit number, and they didn't give us either one. And there's no clear explanation to why we can't know this information, right? Very weird. They got $4.5 million from seed round, but did they spend that? Do they still have that? I don't know. Nobody seems to know. So that is certainly a red flag here. Now we will look at their competitor for just a moment. Let's go to their website. And this is ArtFi, ecosystem map. So this was somebody trying to do the same thing before these people even launched, before LiveArt had launched their project. So Artinials, dynamic protocols built on Sui network. So what I did like about this is at least this part of Artinials is built on the Sui network. They do have a wallet that has launched. I mean, I think this is kind of cool. I think this almost looks better than the other project, LiveArt, that we looked at, to be honest with you. They need to have a mobile app if they want common everyday people to get access to, you know, what is normally reserved for the very wealthy and private. Then you have Artipedia, says it's live. I do like that a lot of their things work and are live, where I didn't feel like that was the same on the other project. Let's skip the intro here. And we have all kinds of different artwork. They have different videos. We don't want to spend too much time on it. Popular frames, video genres. I mean, it does seem to have, this project does seem to have a much more built out ecosystem and website, all of that kind of thing here. I almost like this website better, to be honest. Own shares in a masterpiece on the blockchain. And this one had a very, very, very small market cap, but we don't even know what the market cap of the other one is. They got $4.5 million from seed rounds, but they could have only put $500,000 into the actual market cap. I don't know how they allocated funds, right? Art collecting made simple. Until now, collecting the world's greatest works of art has been a privilege enjoyed by only a select few. This changes with ArtFi. And then you see the same narrative here. ArtFi is rapidly expanding platforms for fine art connoisseurs, and investors. Its mission is to democratize art ownership through blockchain and NFTs. I mean, there are people out there who are huge art people, you know, history art majors, stuff like that, who would probably be very interested in that. Now, are those type of people generally crypto people? I have no idea. My intuition tells me no. that most people who are very into art and stuff are probably the opposite of futuristic crypto, DeFi, Web3 people. But who knows? Maybe somehow they can, but those people got to come into it at some point, in my opinion, because I think these things are going to run the world at some point. Might be far off, might be closer than you think. That's a whole different debate. But we need things like this, I guess, to bring them in and be interested. All right. We will check out their Twitter account real quick. Very surprised at how many people are here on the live. We did so well yesterday. I guess it was only natural that, today's live stream would not be as good. ArtFi. All right, culture begins here. You're going to hear a lot of the same narrative of what we had just gone over. Art, history, culture, reimagine, coming soon. This is the Artopedia. Proud to see how fast the community around Artopedia is growing. It's kind of cool. They have 316,000 followers. What did LiveArt have? Do they have their links here? How did we get to their Twitter the first time? Probably through here, right? Through CoinGecko. And let's compare them a little bit. So 449.3 thousand followers. Not that big of a difference, honestly. I mean, there's 100,000 difference, don't get me wrong. But it's not millions versus a couple 100,000. Very interesting. Oh, we did already have it up, huh? Go away. Why is grass coming up? All right, guys. Well, this is a very niched thing, and so we've really covered most of the information here. Let's take a look at some of our tools that we have available to us, like crypto bubbles, and we never looked at the monthly here. So OKB, Crow. Let me do an audio check. All right, audio check good. So hopefully people watch this video in the future. If it's the most searched, thing going on in crypto right now, I think maybe my metrics might have been a little bit off where I got that information. The last hour doesn't look like anything all that. Sky, Dogecoin. One thing that I think is really fun that I wanted to do, we'll kind of do it here, is to go look at the not top 100 coins, it's not what I meant, all-time high, where it gives us a lot of projects and what their all-time highs are. Come on. So right here, it says BNB's all-time high is 906. Seems like it's very close to that. That was, it says, the 12th of September. How is that possible? They must be pulling it from somewhere else because it's only September 11th. Unless it was a different September 12th, right? All-time high date. So you have Hyperliquid at 57. This K-Hype at 57. Pretty much the same thing. We won't read every single one of them because a lot of them are random. Like L-Hype and K-Hype. Yeah, why don't they give us the coins that we actually want to hear about? See what we have for filters. I wish it would just give us the top, 20 to 100 by market cap projects. They don't have market cap on here. Percent from all-time high. I mean, this is a good place to kind of study a little bit. Like if you wanted to go here and we wanted to see what was the farthest away from its all-time high, that might be worth doing. Weeks token. So it looks like a lot of things, of course, because of all the pumping we've been having going on, a lot of things are going to be very close to their all-time highs or potentially close to their all-time highs, like how BNB is right now. This is very interesting. You'd think this would be a little bit easier to navigate because they're giving us all kinds of, projects and tokens, and most people have no idea what they are. Like, what is BG Sol? BitGet Sol? MEXC, Stake Sol? I don't think most people want to know what the all-time high of, BFUSD is, $1, because it's a stable coin. This is very interesting. I'm going to have to play around with that a little bit more. I didn't think it was going to be so over technical there. All right, guys. Well, I'm going to go ahead and hop off. Hopefully you guys enjoy this in the future. Hopefully this narrative begins to run and ArtFi becomes even more popular. You know, was this a bit of a doozy of a narrative that was given to me, you know, as far as how popular it was in crypto, you know, Google searches and stuff? Or are we way ahead of the program here? I don't know. We just deep dive and research every day. The goal is to raise that crypto IQ, and I think that we did that regardless of how popular or not this becomes in cryptocurrency. All right, guys, have a good night. Like, share, subscribe. Send this to somebody who you know loves crypto. We'll be back tomorrow. Tomorrow will be GameFi. I think every Friday is going to be GameFi because a lot of people are doing other things on Friday. So why not? If they're going to go have fun, we should probably have some fun as well. All right, everybody, have a good night. Crypto Ron out.